On this episode of Deep Thrones, we review House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 8, The Queen Who Ever Was. We watch as Rhaenyra Targaryen prepares the dragon seeds for war. We go to Harrenhal and bend the knee with Daemon, and the Greens have a lot of infighting to figure out, plus many more hilarious segments. Winter is here.
Not to be messed with, tested quiz. They shooting shots, hitting bricks.
Welcome to Deep Thrones, the most entertaining podcast in the world of Ice and Fire. I'm your host, Sims. My partner, Sheedy, is here. What's up, Sheeds?
What's up, guys? Rock on. Eggheads out there. That's what we're calling fans of Aegon's Fallen Angels. They're eggheads. Excuse me.
You all right? You all right over there?
Dude, my vocal cords are killing me. Guys, we've been laying it down.
Just in the studio.
We're working on 2 singles, so technically that's a double. And it has been absolutely insane. I found some buddies who are fellow Green fans like myself, who like to lay down the licks. And we're working on 2 songs right now. 2 songs. That's how we've been doing it. We've been rocking. I mean, look at me. I'm a little embarrassed.
Do we have titles of the songs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, one, I don't want to just listen to the episode, but one called Alicent, My Blood Runs Green, and then another one called Rhaenyra the Pretender. And our songs are all like new wave punk rock, and it's been pretty sick. And me and the boys have been in the studio. It's actually it's the bassist's garage, and he soundproofed it pretty good. And sometimes you'll hear it like when the garbage man comes down, but we try to cut that out, or actually we use it in one of the songs. It's been pretty cool. It sounds kind of neat, but we're really excited.
I mean, you're giving like 90s grunge vibes right now.
This is pretty now. This is pretty now and relevant to look. This is like I've been in it. I've been living that sort of rock and roll lifestyle that you sort of have heard about and read about from some of the great rockers of all time, some of the real hardcore guys, kind of like Art Garfunkel and Paul Simon.
So, for those of you joining us over the audio waves,
yeah,
Sheedy's rocking a black fedora. He's got a black scarf, a lovely white textured shirt there.
It zips down. It's a deep V.
Okay.
It's got a zipper. And I got fingerless gloves on because I actually have been getting a lot of blisters from the guitar.
Did you buy those as fingerless, or did you cut the fingers off?
These were homemade fingerless gloves. Purchased these. These actually I think they were my mom's, and I cut the fingers off. And it's honestly, it gets cold in the garage, so was the main reason. But I can't play them with the fingers. So I had to cut them loose so that I could play the guitar.
I mean, those fit you pretty well for like being your mom's gloves.
I have small hands. So before we get into that, quite frankly, great episode. Guys, let's start with the good. Chris, you have something you'd like to announce?
Let's start with the good. So our Deeper Thrones episode last week sparked some controversy.
Oof, did it ever? You loose lips over here. You have to clear that, by the way, with the rest of us. And by the rest of us, I mean me. You can't just say things.
Well, I mean, stuff happens quickly. Okay, we're always pivoting on the move. But I made a comment that our guest was the #1 Deep Thrones fan.
Matt, great guest.
Matt,
great guy, big
great
fan.
Guest, great fan.
He's very active on our socials.
And honestly, I don't know that I take it back yet. We're gonna have a competition, guys, and we're gonna choose based off your inputs who the #1 Deep Thrones fan is.
Yeah, we're going to do various... we haven't figured out the logistics yet.
Oh, we have figured out the logistics.
We have figured out the logistics.
So, logistic A, this all takes place on Instagram, okay? You post to your story with the caption, @DeepThronesPod, #1 fan. That's step 1.
Yes.
Step 2, DM Deep Thrones Pod and explain to us why you think you should be named #1 fan.
Yes.
And those are all the steps. And if you win, you get a lovely Deep Thrones Pod hat.
I thought we were going to give them a copy of the band's single.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted to. You told me that Deep Thrones wasn't part of that whole project, so.
You're right. We'll do that. That'll be its own side. I'll just send it to them. But yes, you get the Deep Thrones hat with the logo on it and everything. Well, yeah, obviously.
It's a nice head. I mean, it's a trucker head. It's got the Deep Thrones logo on there.
Whoever wins, and of course, this was a big controversy.
Yeah,
this really was. We were getting smoke from all angles of the internet. Kinsey went rogue on TikTok.
That.
She made a TikTok sort of flaming us for it, and that was not cleared. And if I wasn't so busy this week writing lyrics and songs to get back to the pod and to see all that, there would have been real hell to pay.
Yeah.
You're supposed to hold this shit down when I'm away, and instead you're making outrageous proclamations. You're being a real Damon right now. You went off on your own. Well, technically I went off on my own, but you have been doing God knows what. And
I've been delivering the product that people want. Okay, that's what
fair.
we do here. That's what we do here, and we've got a product upcoming that is going to be. I mean, I don't know. I left the end of this episode very discouraged.
Me too. HBO teased us today with a cut from Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is the Dunk and Egg story, which for casual fans, like for us, we're really excited. Mm-hmm. For casual fans, it means nothing. It's more new Game of Thrones characters that they have to learn and they have to create investment in. That one is supposed to be short. It's a 6-episode season, right? That's all good. That's all fine. We're very excited. I really think you guys should watch it. I really think you'll love it.
Agreed.
That being said, and also that will probably just stick directly to the source material because there's no budgetary concerns whatsoever. That being said, this whole season was set up for next season. And if it's a 1-year wait, that's annoying enough. For 2 years, that's bad. I don't even agree with all the choices that were made. And it's not just this season. Season 1, I had issues too. Maylee's bursting through the floor, I thought was ridiculous. George's stories are so rich, and I'm not being a book guy, but if you just stick close enough and you give yourself enough leeway, I feel like the showrunners this season kind of went off the reservation a little bit and did their own thing and went into business for themselves. And I think part of it is HBO's fault with the 8-episode thing. That was HBO's decision. It was not the showrunners' decision. They wanted this season to end with a big battle. So, and we won't talk about that battle because it's spoilers. But that would have fixed so many... I'm sorry, Chris. I'm monologuing right now. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, like, you made the point about all what was wrong in the season and it being a setup season, and all that's right. But it still could have been made right with a 10-episode season.
100%.
If this was an episode 8, everyone would have been fine. I would have been fine. We wouldn't be having this conversation. We would have 2 more episodes to kind of wrap things up, or at least get us really pumped for season 3.
Imagine the excitement even like that this would have created for Dunk and Egg, which I think on its own merits is going to be a great show. But no matter what, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Dunk and Egg, and the 7 other spin-offs that George R.R. Martin says that they're working on will always be tied together. It's the MCU now, Westeros style. They're all going to be tied together. Mm-hmm. And the momentum that they would have delivered with 2 more episodes, and that second one being the battle, because we all know what that battle is from the book reader's perspective, and it's exciting, and it's dope, and it's consequential, big time for all these characters. And HBO, for financial reasons, which obviously, like, you know, it's coming off of a writer's strike, coming off of an actor's strike, they also have their own financial issues, but House of the Dragon, each episode costs double what Game of Thrones costs. It's just the nature of the business nowadays. They're
and all the dragons, too.
Oh, God. Dan and Dave couldn't have dire wolves. You know what I mean? So it goes to show you that the financial constraints are there. But even with that, there's things I think they could have done differently to make it exciting. The show writers could have, in 8 episodes, included that battle. So I don't want to put it all on HBO. Because if HBO said, here's your budget, you have 8 episodes, it's your job as the writers to make it work. And they could have.
We
got
agree.
scenes we didn't need.
I also think, though, HBO, if it is truly a budget concern, I think they're being a little short-sighted because you're basically betting that the viewers are going to come back for season 3.
Exactly. And casual viewers won't. We will.
I mean, we will.
We're
for sure.
well, yes,
and
we're financially
I think a lot of people are, sitting down and listening to a Game of Thrones podcast or House of the Dragon podcast. They probably will check it out as well. But, I talk to a lot of people, just like casual fans, who have been
pissed
pissed this season.
Bored?
Bored, just like disinterested.
I
don't know that they come back after they're doing whatever for 2 years.
Agreed. I as a fan of this world just like the content. So like Chris said, me and him, we'll be here. We have a podcast about it, so we'll be here and we'll be doing this, and we hope you join us. But we're not going to lie to you just for fluff and be like, well, maybe next season will be good. Maybe next season will be good.
I mean, I think next season will be good.
They've given themselves no choice. Like if HBO this season said, here's 8 episodes, next season there's like 8 battles that need to happen, which is dope. We hope that they just dig in, but it's like, what more proof of concept do you need? Episode 4 of this season had 8 million viewers. TV doesn't get that kind of numbers anymore.
No, especially like when you're competing against the Olympics, and I think episode 4, like the finals and NHL.
Exactly, and it's like, well, then what more do you need to shell out the dough? They signed George R. R. Martin to a long-term contract to have him at HBO to help develop these shows, And it's like, if you're that interested in the world, then do it correctly. And you got George on his blog, people think taking veiled shots at the show.
I mean, showbiz is going to show it. Like, Hollywood's always going to put their spin on it. And, I'm sure the internet's going to be going crazy about one thing specifically in this episode. But
for the book fans that are like, I hated that episode, I'm never watching again, the book fans will be back. They'll be back.
They say that after every episode.
But that's book fans that we see on Reddit. Like Chris said, the casual viewers, I don't blame them. The show has to re-earn it. I thought they did season 1 really good considering what their challenges were, but they made some mistakes. This season was just, what?
Yeah.
8 episodes of, oh, that was all right, and then, well, why,
I don't know that I've left an episode of House of the Dragon feeling like, man, that was not at all like anything to be excited about,
No,
most of them we find some stuff that's good, and we're like, oh, okay, this is building to this. But this one, I just didn't love. So should we just dive into this?
Let's dive in. Let me just ask you one more thing before we do. Rhaenys' death, even. Were you wrecked? Were you emotionally wrecked?
I saw it coming for literally 2 years since I read the book.
Yeah, but I just mean, like, was it Robb Stark, the Red Wedding? Was it Ned Stark?
No, but I also don't.
Was it
feel
even
like
Joffrey's death?
I mean, yeah. I don't think it's fair to compare House of the Dragon to peak Game. Like a Red Wedding is like something that's been unique to all television series of all time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, when Corey and Topanga break up in Boy Meets World, is it even that?
I thought it was well done. I liked her making her own decision on her own fate to go back and try to end the war.
It was great. No, it was a great moment. It was. But I just feel like everything about House of the Dragon they've timed it weird, right? But I do think season 3 will be epic. Like, it's crazy that we're saying that, but as people who know what happens,
it has to be.
I know, but that season though could be really funny for us if it's not, because then we'll just be out here just going hard in the paint. This fedora dude, I'm gonna be ripping it.
Well, good thing no one will ever remember this 2 years from now. So
no, I mean, the fedora, or are you talking about the episode?
Our episode.
Our people will remember. People will be talking about this episode for years to come. This is Deep Thrones. We'll always deliver. I want that on the record right now. We're always going to deliver the product. And let's get back to what we do best: reviewing House of the Dragon and having some fun.
Having some fun.
All right.
Actually, before we get into that, shout out Eric and Camila for getting married. Congratulations to you guys. Happy couple. I was at the wedding Friday. Ran into a Deep Thrones fan. Wanted to give her a shout out, Tatiana. I'm sure you're listening to this, but what's up?
That's awesome.
And maybe you could be the #1 fan.
You could be. You very well could be. And in return, you get a cool Deep Thrones hat, and of course, Alicent, My Blood Runs Green, Aegon's Fallen Angels first single. Let's get into this, let's try to have some decorum while we review this. We open in Essos with the Triarchy, and Tywin Lannister is treating with them to try to get them to break Corlys Valerian's blockade of King's Landing.
They smell the desperation on them. They know that they know that the Greens need the Triarchy more than the Triarchy need the Greens. So they make some heavy demands. They mention 100 golden dragons per soldier, which is an outrageous amount of money for a fleet. And then they also mention giving them the stepstones.
Crazy.
Which, of course, in season 1, we saw Daemon and Corlys go to war for the Stepstones against the Crab Feeder. They're still fighting over there. So, yeah, pretty heavy demands.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, again, Thailand doesn't even have the authority. He even says, like, the Prince Regent himself will hang me if I make these deals. Which, I just do the Game of Thrones, do the Baelish thing where you're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because, I mean, he'll also hang him if he comes back and doesn't have the fleet.
Exactly. I think the fleet right now is what's key more than anything. We then see Aemond on Vhagar committing war crimes, which is, what's this town called? Something Point?
Sharp Point.
Sharp Point. He's burning Sharp Point to the ground because I guess when he saw Rhaenyra's dragons, he was upset.
He got pissed, yeah. It hurt his manhood a little bit. So he went and burned some people at a town that's completely unstrategic, has no value.
Are they Rhaenyra supporters even? Like, I guess they probably
are. So it's south of Dragonstone, across the Gullet. So not too far from like Driftmark and High Tide and things like that. But
yeah.
Before we move on to that though, they introduced Lohar.
Yes,
who is the
Admiral
Admiral
Lohar
of the Triarchy, and one of the conditions that they put on Thailand before he got the fleet was that he had to accept Lohar, and Lohar had to accept him, essentially.
And we'll see what that means a little later on. We then have Aegon with Orwell, and he asks Orwell for some rum, and Orwell's like, yeah, I'll give you a little rum, whatever. And then, of course, as always with any Aegon scene now, probably because that foot's propped up in the air, little Larys comes a knocking.
Larys the clubfoot, clubs on in.
Larys is going clubbing.
The urgency's up. He's saying, like, we got to leave now. We got to escape. Aemon's going to be gone soon. That's our window to leave. Aegon is not in agreement at first. Aegon says, let's just take the throne since Aemon will be gone. And Larys makes a good point. He says, and then what? You're just going to be here outnumbered by dragons and just waiting to get taken over?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about, Aemon wants to kill you, Rhaenyra will kill you, and Aegon's like, my dick doesn't work, bro. He's like, I got a dick, man. I got a dick.
Which, I'm glad Aegon hasn't changed. Despite everything he's been through.
His priorities are still Aegon's.
The little Aegon.
And he kind of is like a fallen angel right now. And we need him to get well, and I think Larys is doing the right thing by getting him out of there. Larys's intentions are a little, shall we say, no one knows, but hopefully in season 3 we do know. But he clearly, I think, sees Aegon as his ticket to the top.
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of all it is.
And also he realizes he cannot get in with Aemond, so Aegon's the only option for him.
I've been there, man. Sometimes, you're trying to score with the long-haired, one-eyed girl, and she's just not feeling it, so you got to go up with the burnt-up dude with no cock.
And he also mentioned some connections in Essos. That was really like the only lead he gave to where they would be going.
He said he has money at the Iron Bank.
Yeah.
And he's like, say no more, fam. Let's get out of here. He's like, oh shit, you didn't say there were ducats involved.
He also did mention, Larys is like, yeah, you can come back, be the savior of King's Landing. All the small folk will love you. They'll call you Aegon the Peacemaker, Aegon the Rebuilder, and then Aegon chimes in and he says, Aegon the Realm's Delight.
Yeah, which is a shot at Rhaenyra, because for years she was known as the Realm's Delight, and now, of course, if you remember, she's known as Rhaenyra the Cruel, most recently. From there, we go to the Vale. If you remember from our Fun Dragon ranking that we did before House of the Dragon started, we talked about Sheepstealer and how Sheepstealer is ranked fairly high, and they get taken on by a beloved character named Nettles. Well, apparently the show has decided that Nettles is unimportant, and Rhaena will be doing this. But anyway, Rhaena didn't get on the boat, and the boat never sent word back to Jane Eyre that Rhaena is just living in the Vale. Hopefully the Hill Tribes don't find her and fucking murder her. But she's running around, chugging water. Her shoes are falling apart.
I hate all of this storyline. I was unsure about it before. I hate it now. Like you said,
it's stupid.
Doesn't make sense. The Hill Tribes literally wait and watch this pathway. As if you're an unarmed, even caravan or wagon going by, they steal everything, they kill everybody. So this girl wearing a highborn dress is just going to roll around fine?
Yeah. And I hate to be the guy that does this, but you're sort of the guy who gives the books insight, and I will always bring things back a little bit to Game of Thrones. Lysa Arryn was almost laughing after Tyrion and Bronn won that trial by combat, Because she's like, well, at least here, go have fun traveling. Because she knew the hill tribes would fuck them up, and they kind of did almost.
They did, yeah.
But Rhaena
Tyrion paid them off.
And the hill tribes are not a new thing. They've been in the Vale since the days of the Vale being considered its own kingdom. But Rhaena is, I guess, very slippery, and she's dodging them, and she's trying to find this dragon. I guess is why she's there. And I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this angle now. So
we then get Hugh and Ulf are having a little meal. They're eating the meal in the map room. Makes sense. Hugh is cool. Ulf's a dick. I do like this scene. I did like the scene. I can't be too hard.
Yeah, Ulf has his feet up on the table. Jace enters the kind of feast that they're having, and he's pissed. He's like, remove your feet from the table, and Ulf doesn't respect him at all. He refuses to at first, and then he realizes that it's the prince, and he kind of has like a smart-ass attitude still. But yeah, we really just see like how much of a piece of shit Ulf is.
The one thing this show does really well is character development, because every scene is character development. And yeah, Ulf's a piece of shit. Jace has a strong jawline, and he sort of gives him the business a little bit about his.
He reminds them that they're at war, and like you're just like acting all proud because you have a dragon. Like, are you gonna go fight Vhagar? What are you gonna do then? Are you gonna be leaning back?
I agree.
Pro
Jace. You like Jace?
I do like Jace.
I like Jace. He's a little whiny, but that's sort of the age thing, I think. Robb Stark was too.
All I'm saying is, if I'm the prince and heir to the throne, and someone who just like was jumped and now is in my keep is like talking to me like that, I'm probably challenging him to a trial by combat.
He should have. That would have been cool. But the show is like, no, we can't do that. Jace. I'll tell you this. Based on the memes I've seen, the ladies love Jace. LL Cool Jace. Ladies love Cool Jace because this guy he's a handsome fella. I'll tell you what. And if you guys, if I'm man enough to admit it, Jace is a looker. But I do like that he's starting to take a little bit of control, but also I guess question his mom an awful lot, which is fine. She's made questionable decisions. Rhaenyra and Corlys chat, which is cool because he's been the hand of the queen for 4 episodes, and this is like their first one-on-one. Corlys essentially tells Rhaenyra, the gist of this is like, you got to strike like soon. Mm-hmm. And Rhaenyra is still like, well, what if I just sort of hope that this is a deterrent? It's like, deterrent to what? Aemon doesn't need to attack you. They have King's Landing.
Mm-hmm. And Corlys mentions that Aemon's already burning places. He also brings up Helena and Dreamfire.
Does she has this information, right? She knows Aemon is burning places as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she has to. I don't think she doesn't believe that Helena would ride Dreamfire into battle.
And I agree with that. I am fine with her temperance, but don't make it like the show is trying to make her so just, I feel like, that it's almost making her look dumb. It's the same thing I had about the one thing about, it's just like, I understand her not wanting to attack, but it's like, but they're attacking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but the counterpoint is she has 3 new Dragon Riders, but they're completely untrained.
True.
So who knows? They probably still think King's Landing has a ton of defenses up with scorpions and things like that. So you could just be flying them into death,
That's true. Those scorpions are accurate, especially when the Greyjoys are at the helm. Corlys changed the name of his ship from the I'm sorry. This is very tight, and it's constricting the blood flow. But I have to wear it because I told the band they all have to wear it, so I got to set an example. Okay. Corlys changed the name of his ship from the Sea Snake to the Queen Who Never Was.
That is hard. The name of the ship from the Sea Snake
to the Queen Who Never Was.
To the Queen Who Never Was.
Obviously named after
Rhaenys.
Yeah, his ex-wife.
But this scene wraps up with Corlys saying, "You must crush this beast at its head before too many days have flown by."
Yes.
So,
which is good advice, I think. And I want to rectify something I said about Rhaenyra earlier, where it's like I think at the end of this episode is like my favorite version of Rhaenyra we've had. Mm-hmm. She's got it. She's on the ball. She's figured it out. But like my queen in the I hate to be that guy, in the books, she knew. She always knew.
Which Alicent or
Rhaenyra?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying the queen from Rhaenyra from the books, I would say.
Oh, yeah. She was, by this point, she was, Yeah. Well, we won't get into that.
We got Damon at Harrenhal.
We got Damon at Harrenhal. They're talking about feeding Caraxes. Apparently, Caraxes prefers pork.
Yeah, that's a good little tidbit.
He's got a pork diet.
He's got a pork diet.
Sir Alfred Broom steps in. He's impressed by what Damon's done with the River Lords and gathering that army, so much so that treachery is on his mind.
Yeah, he tells Damon, like, throw your hat in the ring. Tell Rhaenyra to stand down. You be the king that we follow to battle. Damon, like, kind of considers it at the end of the scene, and Simon Strong is standing there, like, watching. Mm-hmm. So he's like, uh-oh, and he's going to go send a Raven.
There was a whisper in the woods that said, traitor,
traitor, traitor, traitor. It was probably just Alice Rivers, like, hiding behind a bush. Traitor.
But yeah, Simon had a strong episode.
Come on, he's done it again, folks. This is why, no matter how bad they do writing this show, you're always going to get top-of-the-line content from the Deep Thrones pod.
Highbrow.
We had a big discussion about this week, that our comedy is highbrow. And our content as well. Helena chats with Alicent. It's a lot of just kind of asking, like, let's get out of this place. Let's run away.
Yeah, this is actually a rare moment that Alicent is a good mother. And she...
Unfair.
Like, I mean, she sides with Helena. She doesn't want Helena to go to war. Aemon steps in and is basically demanding that Helena goes to war and fight on Dreamfire. Alicent literally, physically steps in the middle of them as Aemon's trying to drag out Helena. And Alicent kind of gives Aemon the business. She calls him out for not being able to control his fury over this embarrassment of the new Dragon Riders without him knowing, and kind of exposes Aemon for his insecurities.
Yeah, the Aemon I know would have accepted none of it, but he does. And he leaves the room, but it's his mother and his sister. Like, I do think that there is a line for Aemon, as much as the show has painted it as such that he struggles with the decisions he makes.
Yeah.
He's impulsive, and then after the fact, it's like, damn.
And
Impulse has hands.
He goes, cuddles up with his prostitute mommy.
I know, but apparently she's not putting out anymore, which is too bad. She's spreading rumors.
She's on Rhaenyra's side. There was also a quick interlude in the Red Keep there where Jasper Wilde and Aemon were talking.
Yeah.
And Aemon orders the shippers or traders or whoever that were the ones who spread the word about the dragon seeds, ordered all of them to be killed.
Yeah.
And Jasper goes, well, like, food's already scarce. You're gonna, like, kill people who are running boats of, like, few food.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see in 2 years how the small folk feel about that.
We just add that to everything. In 2 years.
In 2 years.
In 2 years. Really excited to find out.
Has it been confirmed that it's 2 years?
It is. They haven't even started filming yet. There's a 0% chance that they'll get this out by next year. Sad. And when... We'll get to it. Gwaine finds out... Well, before that, Alicent and Norwell have a quick chat. Alicent's like, yo, fam, can you get me a boat to somewhere? And Norwell's like, yeah. That's all there is to that.
And Sheedy immediately goes, she's going to Dragonstone.
Yeah. I was like, she's going to go talk to Rhaenyra. Because when in doubt, you talk to the enemy. You go to the enemy's house. Gwaine finds out about Kristen and Alicent, I guess off screen. He just immediately pulls a sword on Cole to start this scene and is like, yo, how dare you dishonor your oath and bang my sister? And I'd be like, where did you get this information? Why are we,
well, he was sniffing the thing, remember? Her favor that she gave him?
Oh, and then he just put it together, kind of, you think?
He came in hot, so maybe he had a hint somewhere already, but I think the sniffing really hammered it home.
Sometimes if you come in hot, you do that just to see the reaction to either confirm or deny a lie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which is,
But pulling the sword's, like, pretty hot to test something, though.
It's too far. Too far, Gwaine. Too far. You can't just be like, dude, be honest. Like, man to man, is this happening? But also, like, she's a grown woman. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I
Who
think...
cares? It all comes back to vows and oaths.
Well, I think, it's his sister, I think, plays a big role in him being upset, but we really see, like, Kristen Cole being introspective here. He's completely changed since after the Battle of Rook's Rest, where he unleashed dragon on dragon warfare, and he's learning, like, yeah, we're just like peons in this fight, essentially.
He realizes the ground troops are going to be absolute just, like you said, nothingness.
Dragon fodder.
Yeah. And there are good scenes tied into this episode.
And I think this was one of them.
I agree. I liked Kristen's monologue about the sort of the follies of war.
Mm-hmm.
From there, we get Thailand fighting with Admiral Lohar to win their favor. Listen, let's just be real honest about this. You're giving us 8 episodes, so time is sparse. I don't know if we need this.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need this. It's a long scene.
What was the point in having this?
To show Thailand winning, they're going to say, to show Thailand winning their respect. But if you promise the Stepstones, why the fuck do I have to win their respect?
Yeah.
What's the whole point of this barter?
Yeah. You're paying them an outrageous amount of money, and you're giving them the Stepstones.
Does the casual viewer care if Admiral Lohar, who they just met, respects Tywin Lannister, who is sort of a smarmy guy on the small council? He's not even a Baelish on the small council. He's not a Varys. He's like a Pycelle. He's just there. He's there a lot of the time.
Yeah. I'm also going to be honest. I thought that he was Master of Coin and not Master of Ships.
I thought he was as well.
I found that out today.
They might have as well. The show might have actually found that out as well. Bela treats with Jace. A quick scene where she's just like, we all have our role to play.
Jason Bela, I hope in 2 years, I hope they like show a lot more of them on screen, because they could be the new Corlys and Rhaenys,
In 2 years, they could be.
In 2 years.
In 2 years' time, let me tell you guys something. Write it down now. In 2 years, we're going to have a really good 3rd season, and we are going to be singing its praises in 2 years. Rhaena, we get a quick cut to Rhaena. She's cold. And from there, Thailand is...
Don't even fucking say Rhaena's name anymore right
She's
now.
very cold in the Vale. But luckily for her, no Hill Tribe. From there, Thailand is singing to the pirates. So everything I just said about him fighting Admiral Lohar, dude, does the casual viewer care about Tywin Lannister, who's a peon at the small council? He's not even a Baelish or a Varys. He's more of like a Pycelle. Does the casual viewer care about him singing to pirates?
And then apparently Lohar has like a ton of wives that they want him to smang now.
Yeah. Okay, so from there, the Triarchy agrees to sail to the Gullet, and they want Thailand to bang their wives.
Which that part of it is exciting. They're sailing to the Gullet tomorrow. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Are we gonna see some of that maybe in 2 years?
Imagine if when he made that deal for the Stepstones in today's time, not 2 years from now, but when he made that deal at the beginning of the episode, Admiral Lohar stepped in and the leaders of the Triarchy said, "This is your man. We've been given the Stepstones. We've been given this." And then that Admiral yells, "To the Gullet!" And then guess what? That's 20 minutes, Condal, that you can do anything with. Mm-hmm. Probably have Alicent visit Dragonstone 3 times. That'd be cool. Rhaenyra hosts the Dragon Seeds. They have a little dinner. Ulf is doing executable things throughout the entire scene, and they all are like, "This guy."
Just so, this actually I think was another good scene in this episode. Ulf is just insanely disrespectful, has no decorum, has no manners. Even like Hugh Hammer, who's not highborn, is just like, what the hell is this guy doing? Adam Valerian's embarrassed by him. Adam of Hull's embarrassed by him. Jace is pissed. But Rhaenyra like even makes a comment about a knight would treat himself with comportment, and Ulf has the nerve to speak to my queen like this. He says, "You best make me a knight then."
Oh my god.
I would have, if I'm Jace, like
I'm actually
kill
kidding
him
him
right
there.
there.
Yeah.
Damon would. Damon totally would have. Yeah.
It sets a good message to Hugh, even though Hugh's been in line, but it sends a message. Like, there's still rules to this shit.
And also,
I cannot wait to see him get yelled at in 2 years.
Ulf or Hugh?
Yeah,
either one.
Ulf.
I'm just like, this is a strategic moment here where I think like giving someone a dragon is in this world like giving them a nuke, right?
Oh yeah.
Like almost infinite power except against other dragons. This guy is proving outwardly that he is not worthy of that power. So like, end him there.
Yeah, he's not. This is exactly what Jace warned her of. Mm-hmm. And this would be a good win for him. Be like, Jace, you were right. There are limits to this. Mm-hmm. Bring me his head. That'd be a cool scene. I would have, honestly, that would have saved the episode for me. I would have saved the season. A little action, Jace being cool. Rhaenyra tells them that they have to be prepared to attack cities. That thousands will die. I love this. This is the Rhaenyra I need.
Mm-hmm. She mentions Lannisport and Old Town by name.
Yeah, which is high populous areas. Mm-hmm. From there, Daemon finally has sent a raven. Or no, Daemon didn't send the raven. Harrenhal, Sir Simon Strong sent the raven, basically saying to Rhaenyra, we fear treachery in your ranks, which is like, Simon Strong's an OG for sticking by Rhaenyra. That's good stuff.
Love. Simon Strong maybe had the strongest season, I think.
He was a ray of sunshine in an otherwise cloudy world. He was a hopeful song in an otherwise dim, sorrowful music venue.
There's Simon Strong like hype videos online.
There are, and it's like him saying something, and then it's like the like music and like the cuts of him, him being cool and slippery. And I kind of wish he won in hindsight the Song of Spice and Desire.
I mean, we can run it back in 2 years.
That's right. Yeah, I love that idea. We get Daemon at Harrenhal with Alice. She's in his room. He's never heard of locking a door. I chime in with the... Oh, God, Panic at the Disco. Am I right?
You look the part right now.
Dude, right now, this is... Every time you see me, I'm going to be wearing this. This is my fit now, man. I'm pretty serious about my art, my music. Uh-huh. This is the side hustle now. The music is my life. We have Daemon at Harrenhal with Alice. Alice asks... Basically, she's like, do you want to be king? Do you want it?
Yeah, they go out to the Godswood. Alice is like, I think you've realized now what your role's meant to be, but, if you're ready to accept your fate, touch this weirwood tree. And
I hate to say it, I like the weirwood scene. We get a montage. We see the three-eyed raven, the young one. What's his name? Brendan Rivers?
Yeah, Brendan Rivers.
He's got the scar too, that I don't think they gave old Brendan Rivers in Game of Thrones. But those guys were lazy, so it doesn't matter.
His face was like covered up with tree shit, though.
And he was an old man. And we see possibly the Night King. We see Daenerys with her 3 dragons. Stuff like that.
We see, it looked like Viserys getting killed. Yeah, I mean, it was cool to like tie in everything.
Yeah. But then Daemon talks to Helena, which is weird because those two, like, what connection do they have except maybe because she's a seer and he clearly is becoming a seer late in his life, kind of like Viserys was. And then there's a weird cut to Helena in a really cool part of King's Landing in the Red Keep talking with Aemond. And this scene for me was the MVP scene of the episode.
I can agree with you there. So Aemond's still making a hard push to recruit Helena and Dreamfire to join the fight. And Helena's just having none of it. Essentially, she calls him out, and it seems like her dreams are becoming more clear now, and she can interpret them. But she, I guess, saw Aemond sabotaging Aegon. She said, "Will you burn me as you did Aegon? I saw it. You burned him, and you let him fall."
Yeah.
And Aemond's kind of like shitting his pants. He's like, "This is treason."
He's like, "We won the battle." Yeah, he's like, I didn't let him fall. I couldn't have stopped that. I shouldn't have burned him, probably. But you're right. He's really good scene by Ewan Mitchell here. He's like crying, and his eye is tearing up, and he's like you said, he's like, I could have you killed for that. Mm-hmm. And she prophetically is like, you will die in something. She's calling everybody's deaths out.
Yeah, she said you'll be swallowed up in the God's Eye and never be seen again.
Yeah.
Remember the God's Eye is that lake near Harrenhal.
Yeah.
And then she also mentions Aegon will be king again. He's yet to see victory. He sits on a wooden throne, and you'll be dead.
Yeah. Well, interesting stuff. Helena just laying stuff out there. She's a creepy person, it turns out. But she's, I thought she had a strong episode. It was glad to see Helena get some screen time because they her character had a very interesting season where her trauma was supposed to be sort of the arc, I think, of episode 1, and she's always handled everything differently.
Yeah. I mean, you never know how someone's going to handle grief in real life or on screen, but it seems like the recent events have clarified things for her, and I don't know what like the tipping point was, but she went from, not being able to understand, the beast beneath the boards or the being afraid of rats, and now she just like clearly prophesizes. She knows what's going to happen. She saw Aemond betraying Aegon.
I still don't fully understand the beast beneath the board's decision either. But yeah, now she can see clearly now the rain has. It was a solo, Chris. It was a solo, and you decided to just jump in. That's an executable offense in my band. We have.
Well, you best put me in your band then.
I will. Ooh. If you want to be a green, we call ourselves the Greens behind the scenes, and Eggheads, of course, because we're all fans of Aegon and Aegon's Fallen Angels. So Rhaenyra finally rolls up to Harrenhal on Cyrax. Adam of Hole is on Silverwing. He's patrolling the skies. She sort of walks in. Simon Strong is like, we fear treachery within your ranks. Daemon walks up. She sort of asks him, like, will you, is this my army ready? Mm-hmm. He sort of speaks against her, but then starts speaking Valyrian. And if I was one of the guys that's standing there, I'd be like, oh, this is awkward. It seems like that we got like a whole thing about to happen.
Yeah, they're in front of all the river lords that are gathered preparing for war. And at first the conversation is very intimate, quiet. I don't think many people overheard it.
No.
And then, Daemon speaking Valyrian, and Rhaenyra steps back and essentially asks very loud, like, who do you serve? After Daemon said that these men serve me. So at this point, it's on blast. Everyone's hearing this. And Daemon makes a, proclamation that he serves her. She's the rightful queen of the Seven Kingdoms, protector of the realm. And everyone kind of gets pumped about it.
Yeah, she says that he's like Viserys now because he even tells her about his visions.
Yeah.
And Daemon gets the crowd pumped to serve Queen Rhaenyra in 2 years. And Alfred Broom storms out angry. And it's like, why are we accepting this treason? What are we doing here?
We don't know that he'll accept it. I don't think Daemon's the type of guy to let that go. Also, since House Broom is so inconsequential to, the war effort, I feel like Alfred Broom's not going to be with us for long.
Yeah.
Well, for at least 2 years he'll be with us.
He'll be with us for 2 years. It's a long time.
That is.
Corlys ships are getting ready to set sail. The Queen Who Never Was, of course, no longer called the Sea Snake. And he has a quick chat with Alan of Hull, I thought this was a strong scene.
This was a strong scene. Alan rightfully is upset at Corlys. Corlys says, I'm just trying to help you. Corlys in the scene is trying to implore Alan to take more leadership, take more accountability. And Alan is just basically says we've been struggling our whole life. We were starving. We were freezing. You literally would walk by us with your son and not even acknowledge us while we're starving and freezing. And now you want to come and help? After, Laenor's dead, after Laena's dead.
Yeah. Now
you want to put us in these positions of power, basically a big FU to Corlys. And I think it was well deserved.
I agree. It was a good scene. It was a scene that we've been kind of waiting for. I think Alan having his say, developing these characters is important. And having him sort of just put it all out there as to why he doesn't really care for Corlys's. And he said, I'm an honorable man, so I will do what is required of me, And I like Alan.
I think Alan, out of all the characters that popped up in season 2, where we got kind of snippets of development, I feel like Alan's character with this episode really came full circle.
Agreed.
I think Adam is still kind of shallow for me.
Yep.
Hugh Hammer is still kind of shallow for me, but at least we understand his motivations.
Ulf is, but we understand he's a party boy.
I think that is just Ulf.
That's it. Yeah, we're not going to get much more in 2 years. Chris, earmuffs. Rhaenyra sees sheep stealer, Rhaena sees sheep stealer in the Vale. That's just the name of the dragon is going to be sheep stealer. Spoiler alert. My Syrian Rhaenyra chat.
They do. And I just had one more thing to add on the Alan and Corlys.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Corlys, I think, is realizing, and we've seen, obviously, the name of the ship change, so Rhaenys was hinted at. But I think Corlys in this scene full-blown realizes Rhaenys was right when she mentioned earlier in the season, you're hiding these boys. You need to, elevate them.
Yeah.
So
he even said to Rhaenyra in their scene that everything I do now is in memory of her. And it's sort of a veiled, I thought, shot at Rhaenyra as well. Meaning, this, I don't really care about your claim anymore. My family's destroyed, so I might as well. But, my Syrian Rhaenyra chat, I have really no notes from that scene. I just thought it was, the Dragon Seeds. This is a wild move. Good stuff.
Yeah, Rhaenyra's doing a lot of the same kind of soul searching on like what to do next. It's almost the same conversation she had with Corlys. But I did have on here, Rhaenyra got back to Dragonstone so quickly, question mark, from Harrenhal.
Jetpack. We got the jetpack.
I mean, I understand dragons, right? But I mean, man, that's...
Yeah, God, she's in
fast.
a different outfit. Like, it's just like, it's pretty fast. It's pretty fast. Like, granted, they could probably get there within the day. Mm-hmm. But also, like...
It's still daylight. It's
it's a little dicey. A little dicey. I'm not going to let that slide. This episode, we're taking no prisoners, guys. This is Deep Thrones After Dark. Unless you're listening to this like 10 a.m. on Monday. But to us, it's dark. Rhaenyra sees Alicent's... Alicent visits.
Yeah.
Alicent visits Dragonstone.
Yeah.
I want to say something real quick, if I may.
Go ahead.
Can I cut you off real quick? Sorry.
Get in there.
Ryan Condal, in an interview, said about the earlier Rhaenyra Alicent scene in these seasons, in this season, episode, what was it, 2 or 3?
2 or something, yeah.
Yeah, 3 maybe, I think, let's say. He said that scene, he's like, we knew so badly that the fans wanted to see Alicent and Rhaenyra have a scene. Yeah. And that is such a bad reason to have anything ever happen in a movie, is because people want to see it. That is called plot-driven, not character-driven. You have to do things that the characters would do. That's what George does when he writes. He says he's like a gardener. He calls it like a construction. He says there's like a gardener and then there's like an architect. He said he's a gardener. He's like the characters, you plant the seeds and the characters take you places. That's probably one of the reasons why, in hindsight, I didn't know that at the time, but having read that recently, I dislike these scenes.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it to give people happy feelies. But it doesn't make sense for the character to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it also... I don't know how much sense it makes that she's just accepted into Dragonstone without, like, being in chains or, like, in some sort of dungeon or something, and Rhaenyra goes sees her.
Or at least cuffed. Yeah, like you said. Like, so she can't pull a sword or something, or a dagger, a little...
She's a known enemy of the state, and they just, like, have her greeted there well.
Yeah.
But, so...
What do they talk about? I don't even remember.
So their conversation, Alicent is basically... She even admits, like, hey, I've lost my way. And she comes there, she says, I just want to live my life. I'm tired of this treachery. I'm tired of the betrayals, the war. I just want to right what was wronged and just live my life after this.
Oh, boy.
Which, like, isn't really possible with how far this has gotten, but that's a conversation for maybe after this scene. The thing that she mentioned that is of consequence is that Aemon's going to be leaving King's Landing to go to the Riverlands.
Yeah, she just gives her an attack plan.
And says, like, hey, Helena's going to be sitting the throne in Aemon's absence. You need to go to King's Landing at that point. The gates will be opened up, and you'll be, like, hailed as a savior of the city.
So they've decided now that Alicent is fully off Team Greens, and she's realized the error, to her at least, the error of her ways, and she's going to allow Rhaenyra to take the city, essentially. Tells him the battle plan. Tells her she regrets a lot of her decisions. Rhaenyra also says to her, like, yeah, good, because everything else is too late. And I like this Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra gets it now. But now Alicent is sort of reverting back to the thing of, like, well, but maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do this on the slim, We do it under the table, and it's like no one's got to get hurt, you know what I mean?
She even mentions, like, yeah, just let Aegon bend the knee, and he can walk off.
And Rhaenyra's like, no, I have to behead him. Which is like, fuck yeah, you do.
Yeah, and Rhaenyra even goes, like, that's how this ends. Like, we can't just, as long as he's alive, my claim is under threat.
But do you remember what we talked about before the season started, when I would talk about the trailer, and I was like, man, I hate that Rhaenyra said, and Alicent's son sits my throne, because it's like, that's King Aegon. And you were like, yeah, but he didn't even want it. Alicent started it. Technically, she should cut her head off, too.
Yeah. I mean, look.
In 2 years, when Alicent and Rhaenyra visit Harrenhal together to just hash some things out, and then when those two visit Winterfell just to have a quick discussion, and when they're smuggled to Sotheros, which some of you have probably never even heard of, but they're probably going to have a quick chat there in 2 years just to figure out what's going on.
Man, it's... this episode's polarizing because there are strong scenes that really make sense, that really, either develop character or further the plot. And then there's stuff like this where it's like, we're doing this again,
Yeah, again, that's it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's the again and the again. Like the season as a whole, I enjoyed, and even in the face of much slow criticism, which it deserved, the pacing's been off. I was like, yeah, but the seeds are there. Mm-hmm. But the issue is that now the car is driven over the freaking Cabbage Patch. The seeds are not growing. The seeds are stomped into the dirt, and it's just there's not enough water. Not enough water.
All of which could have been solved with a strong episode 9 and 10, but we won't get that.
God, do you remember those days of 9s and 10s episods?
Yeah.
Back when they gave us episodes 9s and 10s?
Man,
Hey, remember...
what was that? The last time we had a 10-episode season was...
Well, season 1 of House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
But if you think of it, if you really think about season 1 through 6 of Game of Thrones, pretty beloved, right? And how many episodes were those? 10. Season 7 and 8, not 10 episodes. And how are those reviewed? And then we get a montage to end the episode.
Yeah, a lot going on in the montage. I'll just rifle all of them off.
Please
the
do.
dragon seeds are getting fitted for armor. Alicent is running somewhere. The Hightowers are on the march. Tessarion and Darren go flying over the Hightower army. The Winter Wolves are crossing the Twins. The Lannisters are on the march from the Golden Tooth. Daemon's heading to the Riverlords camp. They're ready for war. Tyland and Lohar are on their way to the Gullet. Alan and Corlys going to reinforce the blockade. So
You mentioned the North, too?
Yes. Those two are going to be heading to the same place. Rhaena sees Sheepstealer. Otto is locked up somewhere.
Otto's locked up, dude. You know what? He's fine. Don't worry about Otto, but someone is coming to him with a lantern.
A torch, yeah. So I wonder who's got him imprisoned.
I don't know. Do you know?
I don't.
None of us know. This is very interesting.
I guess well, no, actually no, because I'm gonna finish this out. Aegon and Larys are seen escaping in a wagon. My guess originally was that it was gonna be Larys that had him locked up, but we saw him in the wagon leaving, so it couldn't have been.
It's very intrigued to see that. And there's stuff that's there. There's things that I'm excited about. We do see Tessarion the Blue Queen and Darren the Daring, which is also awesome. But that montage was cool. And whenever it cut from something, they played their music. The North was marching. We heard the North music. When the Lannisters, we heard the Reigns of Cat. It was cool, but not cool to end the season. Not cool enough to end a season. We had one battle this season.
Well, we had the burning mill off screen.
Oh yeah, that was dope. I'm glad I didn't want to see it.
So
okay, we're gonna get into the segments now.
That's a wrap on the season.
Yeah.
What do you rate this episode?
3.
A 3.
3.
Is that the lowest you've ever given?
Yes, it's the lowest I've ever given, and I watched every episode of season 8 of Game of Thrones. That's a 3. Say what you want about season 8 of Game of Thrones. It was a fucking spectacle.
Yeah.
That's a 3. It was boring. The decision-making of the characters now is asinine. They can save it. I would never say they couldn't. I've watched tons of shows over my life where I hate episodes and love episodes. The Sopranos, I slept through most of, and then I loved some of. Breaking Bad, the same thing. But those shows don't have dragons. 3.
I gave it a 5. And I think the 5's the lowest I've given throughout House of the Dragon. I think I gave a 5 in some Game of Thrones ones, but yeah, I mean, we talked about it. There were some strong scenes that made a lot of sense and that we loved, and then there were a lot where I'm just like, why are we doing this again?
Why?
Why are we doing this again? Like,
yeah.
I do, like, I don't know. I thought I was going to think that about Daemon, like, hallucinating or seeing things again, but that one was
good.
Was cooler to, like, tie everything in to the future, but yeah.
Just do that one then.
Yeah.
You know, they did it for 8 episodes. It took him the season to get the Riverlands into the mix. It took him the season to do it. Like, the great tough Tyrell twist of season 2 of Game of Thrones for the Battle of the Blackwater. Like, we saw Baelish slink away and do that, you know? And then they triumphantly in episode 9, you know, it's just like, oh my God, man.
Yeah, tough luck.
I do want to say before we get to the other segments, let's finish this segment. Let's do best line, yes, Queen, and we'll wrap it up. But start with best line. What's your best line?
My best line is from Corlys to Rhaenyra when he says, "You must crush this beast at its head before too many days have flown by."
Yes.
And this was early in the episode, so I'm like excited. I'm like, oh, they're gonna do something.
Crushing
It's gonna
beasts.
be cool.
We're gonna be crushing beasts at its head. This is exciting. But he meant in 2 years' time.
He didn't say in 2 years.
No.
My Yas Queen is from Alan to Corliss. If I survive this war, I will continue as I began, alone.
Wow, that was a good line. My best line was Aegon when he said, "Aegon, the realm's delight." Taking a shot at Rhaenyra. And then my Yas Queen was Broom to Daemon when he said, "What we need in this moment is a king." Again, we see the sexism coming into it. I thought it was the Yas Queen because in my head I was like, I agree, but not Daemon. King Aegon II of his name. Hottest moment, Chris. I'll go with mine to start. It was Rhaenyra accepting the fact that she must act ruthlessly. She must win this war flat out.
In that Alicent scene?
Yeah.
Yeah. My hottest moment was when Rhaenyra was at Harrenhal and Daemon pretty much pledges his fealty again in front of all the River Lords.
Yeah, I did like that. And he screams, "We fight for our queen." I remember when the trailer leaked and I heard that, I was like, oh, this is like a battle cry from some knight as they charge into battle. Instead, it was Daemon after 8 episodes of absolutely off his ass, dreaming about silly stuff. Mount Rushmore. What is it this week?
Mount Rushmore of finales or final things.
Just final finality in general.
Finality. Wow, that's deep.
That's dark. I don't
deep.
like it so much anymore. Chris, do you want to go first? Should I go first?
You lead us off.
I'm going to go with the Final Countdown.
Oh,
I love
God.
that song. I love music, as you guys can tell, and have known about me for some time now. I've been starting my own band called Aegon's Fallen Angels, and I've been listening to a lot of Final Countdown. I love that. It's the Final Countdown.
Yeah, I think we all know how that song goes.
For those who don't, Chris, we're a podcast that delivers information.
My number one pick is going to be the Final Four.
Oh.
March Madness, Final Four.
That's a lot of
Can't
fun.
miss television.
Mine is going to be the Book of Revelation.
Ooh,
Nothing more final than
final.
that. Pretty final. It's badass. You ever read it?
I mean, it's hard. It's metal.
It goes hard. It goes hard.
It's metal.
I hope it's like the whole the earth water level slowly rising is a lot more boring than the way they lay it out. I like it. That's dope.
What is it? The Four Horsemen or whatever?
The Four Horsemen show up. Every pestilence. Everything's going down. In 2 years' time, we might see that in House of the Dragon.
My second pick's going to be the Final Destination series.
I do like the first couple.
That's, that movie freaked me out. I think I watched that way too young.
They do. It's the scene on the highway. There's a scene with LASIK. There's girls in a tanning bed, roller coasters. They've ruined a lot of fun events for me. Not like LASIK's not a fun thing, but roller coasters. My third is going to be a finale, the Boy Meets World finale. It's really good. It's a tearjerker.
That's your second Boy Meets World reference on this pod tonight.
2 to go.
You're like, check.
Check, and check.
My third pick's going to be the Sopranos finale.
It's a good one.
It was controversial at the time. I think most people now are like, oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
the message was he will never live a comfortable day in his life. Even if he is killed there, they don't want to spoon feed you. Tony will never be comfortable.
Yeah,
He'll never be comfortable.
The director came up years later and was like, yeah, he got killed there.
Oh, what a buzzkill. Wow. I thought he lived a happy life. My fourth is Rickon Stark's final scene. When that arrow goes through his stupid heart.
His stupid heart.
It's just we all slept easier that day.
When did that happen? 2019?
Oh no, Rickon Stark's. That had to be 2016 or 17.
Man,
yeah,
we're still hammering that one.
I hate him. You understand? I hate him.
I'm gonna roll with. Oh man, I have a few more good ones on this list. I'm just gonna go with "Finito" by Chief Keef.
Yeah,
good
nice
song, banger of a song.
That's a good one.
If you haven't heard it, listen to it.
When we do our Mount Rushmore poll, this is going to be very difficult for me to make. In the thing, I'm going to probably have to write them.
Or you'll probably have to write them.
Oh, and now we have a fan favorite segment. You blew it.
You blew it.
I'm going to start with mine, if I may.
Go ahead.
Ryan Condal, the showrunner, and Sarah Hess, the two people in charge of this. I don't know if Miguel Sapochnik was that big of a loss this season.
Like it.
Although the rainy scene last season, the Beast Beneath the Boards, they said was his idea, so who knows? But let's go with the showrunners. You blew it.
You blew it. Mine is very similar, but for a different reason. I have HBO on here, and it's just because a 10-episode season could have solved a lot of this. So, HBO. You blew it.
Especially with what we know is coming.
Mm-hmm.
That would have ended the season on an absolute banger.
I mean, you at the end of that montage, you saw so much stuff to be excited about.
That would have been a cool way to end episode 8, going into episode 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
A fan favorite segment, Crown Their Ass. I'm going to go with Laris Strong, and the reason is because I felt like his acting this season, Matthew Needham, the actor, was great. Laris Strong was spitting facts. They made him very creepy and weird in season 1, which is cool because it set up this sort of mystique around him. And then this season we see that he has like a heart and also has a crazy high ambition. So, Laris.
Now, if you want to crown him, then crown their ass.
He was who he thought he was.
He's getting crowned. My crown their ass is going to be Rhaenyra. She was literally crowned again, kind of, in the Riverlands. So, Rhaenyra.
Now, if you want to crown him, then crown their ass.
Crown's on.
Yeah. She's a queen.
She's the queen. She's the rightful queen.
Yeah, Allison, I guess, agrees now. That's exciting. That makes it a lot easier for precious Rhaenyra in all her glory. That the show, infallible Rhaenyra never made a mistake in her life.
Hate more.
Oh, I'm Rhaenyra. I didn't know your son was going to get his head removed. Whoopsies. I didn't want that to happen. I want Aemon Targaryen. And then Aemon's there, and she's like, hold up.
Hold up.
Wait, let him think about it. Strategy with Lord Mims. Mims, if you're the Greens, you're cutting that deal with the Triarchy. Why not just agree to everything? And then after, in this world, once you win the war with their help, if they get a little too overambitious, you crush them.
So, they did end up agreeing to everything, right? So I think that's the only strategy, especially if you're Tywin Lannister there. You can't come back without a fleet. So agree to the demands, but to the second part about what you said, about if things don't go the way as planned, they get a little too testy, then just crush them afterward. You got to remember, like, all your levies are going to be depleted as well. You're still fighting a war that you got to get through. And the Triarchy, the 3 cities combined together, is a very formidable force. There's a reason why they've been fighting on the Stepstones for years. I think the only thing that really brings down the Triarchy is going to be either other free cities in Essos or infighting themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know that a broken Westeros has what it takes to take them out completely. Now, a united Westeros, if, Rhaenyra was sitting on the throne and none of this fighting happened, yeah, I think they could destroy the Triarchy pretty quickly. But broken, battered, beaten, it's going to be a hard fight.
Yeah, interesting. Well, we'll see what happens next season. We'll see how it progresses. The Triarchy gets involved and to what extent. We'll see if Tywin's got like a bunch of kids on the way, I guess. He's banging all his wives. Trial by combat. This week's trial by combat is a little near and dear to my heart. I was hoping that I'm going to pitch this out there, and if anyone's listening to this, maybe a producer or a studio exec, we do like a Making the Band documentary about me and my Sweet Jam Boys over at Aegon's Fallen Angels. We got 2 songs we're working on. Like I said, we're working on a double right now. That of course we have Rhaenyra the Pretender, which is sort of like Elton John meets Metallica a little bit. And then I'm also writing another single called Allison, My Blood Runs Green. It's a romantic song, I would say, to Allison Hightower.
Okay.
And it's more of like a modern day punk rock, kind of glam rock, romantic song about her.
So now are we going to adjust the title of that song now that Allison's blood no longer runs green?
It's metaphorical. It's more about I'm all about that paper. I'm all about the green. I'm all about money. All about that bread. And I would love to sing one of these songs for you guys right now live on air, but my pipes are insured. My agent said, he's like, do not sing on air. Especially, I have not done my warm-ups, and it takes me like 4 hours of warm-ups. Also, I feel like the documentary would be cool, though. It's following us around on our tour bus. We call our tour bus Sunfire. And we travel. We're gonna be. We haven't. Technically, it's gold because it's a school bus, but we're gonna be riding it. We're gonna be riding the school bus. We're gonna be touring the countryside anytime now. Allison, my blood runs great. I think I have a pretty good voice. Do you think I have a good singing voice? I think I have a great.
I don't know that I've heard your singing voice. Actually.
I got a quick clip.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, this is called.
Oh God!
It's not good. No, I'm kidding. It's great. Here we go. You ready, dude? You ready? No, I'm dead serious.
Allison, my blood runs green. I wanna make you my forever queen, but you built these walls between us. Don't let time cheat us. Allison, my blood runs green. I wanna make you my forever queen, but sadly time is passing. Your cheeks, I should be clapping.
It's tough because we didn't.
Stop it.
We haven't done a lot of post yet on it, so we gotta clean it up, and we're probably gonna auto tune the voice. We're thinking, but we didn't have time to do that because again we've been in the garage.
Your cheeks, I should be clapping.
It's a new wave punk rock.
Oh man. Yeah, I can't wait to hear more Aegon's Fallen Angels.
We're playing live next week. You want to come? You can come out. It's not really a venue. We're gonna be at the Grand Red Line stop, just inside. There's like a cord we're gonna plug an amp into.
Yeah. I don't know. Who made the beat? Like that was. What was
that? Well, that was the guy. One of my buddies wrote that part of the song. I have four bandmates.
Okay.
2 bassists, one guy who does drums, and another guy who knows like how to plug all of it in.
Okay.
And he's sort of like a roadie. And he actually, believe it or not, full disclosure, we got that on YouTube. But they're gonna learn how to play it with their hands.
Listen. I think I can speak for all the fans here when I say we need more Aegon's Fallen Angels.
Really?
Yeah.
You like that?
We need, yes.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. It's
yes.
Good sign for things to come for the band. We already got one major fan. But really quickly, before we wrap this thing up, this was a longer episode because it was the finale, and we had a lot of fun. We've had a lot of yucks this season. We've had a lot of laughs. We've been real goofy, obviously. But genuine concern, I would say, about the direction of House of the Dragon. A show that we were very excited about, and the 2 shows that we were very excited about, they're making the other one right now. And I think it's like foolproof, and yet now I'm like, and obviously it's made by different people. HBO is still in charge, but they have different showrunners. But I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, again, this was discouraging, and I think it was the first House of the Dragon episode where I left feeling that way. I think if we take a step back and look at the full body of work, there is a lot there to be excited about. Are there issues? Yes. I think there's even going to be more as we get into the week and we, think about other stuff and get on air for Deeper Thrones, which, by the way, will be airing on Thursday morning this week instead of Wednesday. But yeah, I don't want to overreact and pass judgment on the whole body of work. That being said, season 3, in my mind, cannot, I can't see a way that it's not the best season out of the 3 that we've seen.
And I don't know how to,
Or the 2
the thing is that HBO and the showrunners, and they will be aware of the blowback. They'll hear it, and, I don't know what to say on how that motivates that. I can't speak to it. Obviously, they were motivated to add scenes by fans before. So hopefully they're motivated to not appease book readers, but just do justice. I mean, they're the ones who make the series go. They're the heart and soul that you will have no matter what. And you got to please them. You got to, and I think that with George's writing, it's just consequences. A little realm of reality with dragons. It's exciting when that happens.
Yeah.
And I do think Duncan Egg will be really good. We saw our first look from A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which after Deeper Thrones. In a week, we will be discussing that, which will be episode 99, followed by the Thronies.
So a lot to be excited about. Listen, there were good things even in this episode. Okay,
Yeah.
so like it's not all doom and gloom. Like Sheedy mentioned, Duncan Egg is going to be. I mean, there's just larger than life characters in there. You got people named nicknames like the Laughing Storm and Aryan Bright Flame
And
Pate. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got Sir Duncan the Tall, who's a legendary, Kingsguard person. So it's just a lot to be excited about. I think, like, my brain, personally speaking for myself, is just, like, in a knot at how that season ended.
Agreed. I'm very upset about it. I think it's sad because it's the 2-year wait. It's going to be all negative talk. And they brought it on themselves. It's fair. It's not even. I don't even want to discourage people from doing that. We'll be here doing our thing in 2 years' time. We'll be here, and we hope you'll join us at least for that. That's the main thing.
And don't miss the Thronies.
Don't miss the Thronies. You're going to want to be there for the Thronies. If you're one of our big-time listeners, you think you're the number one fan, you're going to want to get in on that as well.
Oh, yeah. So follow us on Instagram. We'll have all the polls up. We'll have the number one fan contest going. We're going to do our Mount Rushmore polls this week. And then, of course, Deeper Thrones coming at you Thursday. But it's been a pleasure. This has been a good season. We still got the Deeper Thrones to wrap up this season. But we appreciate everyone giving us a listen and love getting the feedback, even though it will probably be negative this week. But we still love it.
Yeah, but not of us. We'll be positive of us.
Yes.
3 episodes left after this from Deep Thrones. Then we're going on a little hiatus, but we will be back the second we get new Duncan Egg content. Past what we're about to talk about in a week's time. Allison, hit me up. My blood runs green, and I want to make you my forever queen.
Whips, check out the hand, switch, shooters on swoosh, hitters don't miss. Aria just added a ton of y'all to my list. Bitch, death wish, not to be messed with, tested